Hello, guys. Welcome back. So we're actually having a great day. It's actually cold and windy and blech out, but we actually have been having a lovely Beltane. We did the candle. We kept it really super casual, and I made some chicken in the oven. So we saved ourselves at least $35 because we were going to order chicken and then we were going to order fries, and we wanted both kinds of breadsticks. You see where we're going here, and you need soda, guys. You need soda. Yeah, we're like ching 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 ching. You go on their website, they don't even list their prices anymore. It's like they must spin a magical wheel, and maybe you'll get lucky, maybe you won't. I'm like, yeah. So we didn't order anything. We made it at home, and it was money. So Loki was, favoring me. And something interesting came up. I was talking with one of you, and I talked about how really I didn't really do anything special today. I just listened to podcasts. And technically speaking, some purists are going to go, if it's on YouTube, it's not a podcast. I realize that. I really do. But to me, it's like if it was a podcast ported over to YouTube, or it's on YouTube, and for all intents and purposes, it is a podcast, then that's fine for me. There are things that are super short, there are things that are longer, and honestly, my guilty pleasure is, as I've said before, god awful movies. They can be crude. They can even get offensive. They go out of their way to celebrate the fact that they don't have to have common decency because they're not Christian. They're entertainers, and they're taking Christian movies and just going to them. If that offends you, you're going to get highly offended by that channel. Like I said, if I'm too much, do not go listen to them. Do not. But then there are other atheist podcasts that are also on YouTube that they do a pretty good job of it. And it was actually, you would think it would be Satan and Lucifer that pushed me towards them. And I kind of listened to them a little bit. And I've listened to these podcasts off and on for years. But who's really been pushing me is Michael. And that seems kind of surprising because you would be like, why would an angel care? Well, the Catholic tradition did used to pride itself on logic, thought, and reason. It wasn't all magical man in the sky, listen to the Pope. It's where a lot of science and stuff came from. Not all of it, and I am not a Catholic, and I'm not saying, yay, awesome Catholic Church, certainly not. But at one time, they were trying to head in the right direction. They were trying to head in the right direction. And it's good to examine your beliefs if you can. If you can't, if that upsets you, if the idea of seeing them attack a religion and then you think about it and you're like, I could apply that to my religion. I don't think I like this. Don't listen to it. Don't. There's also a SciShow that I love. I love getting to watch all the sciencey stuff and all the atheistic stuff that maybe you don't ever grow out of your rebellion, because I watched an interesting thing today. There's a movie on the Satanic Church, Church of Satan. They're not theistic, by the way. They're atheistic, though I'm sure there are some theistic members. Um, and they said it's actually becoming a common thing now for people like around my age, a little older, a little younger, to actually be going through that. It's more common for them to see people like middle age suddenly hit that final little bit of belief just goes poof, and they either become an atheist or they start exploring or something. I think it's because a lot of us were raised in the era of God's going to get you and burn you in eternal fire, but he wants you to love him anyways. We were raised in that era, and as we've gotten older, we've seen nothing that the church told us has proven to be true, and we've seen a lot of church scandals and everything come out. And so we started to question stuff, and we started to say, well, I sat in church all the time and I never felt anything. Though outside of church we felt stuff, and why not do it outside of church? So there are a lot of good podcasts, if you'll consider it a podcast, on YouTube. Like, I love the science stuff. There are nicer atheist podcasts too, as we've discussed before, that they'll do the same thing. They will review movies too, and I know Christian movies are really low-hanging fruit. I know they are. They're bad. I will sometimes listen to a podcast because I couldn't make it through 15 minutes of the film. I'm like, I'd like to see how this turns out, but I can't. My brain hurts. So sometimes I listen to a podcast for that reason, but it's usually good. If they're an atheist beyond being an atheist in name only, they're going to apply logic and reason to stuff, which again, if you're going still at the stage where you can have that go backwards and apply it to your own faith and it's going to give you trouble, then you don't have to do this. This isn't a requirement of being a Lokean or working with Satan or anything else, but it's fun to explore. And there are other things, like I was vaguely counting Night Vale because I haven't gotten to it. It's just, it's on the list of things to do that even though we're currently still kind of quarantined, but not, I still haven't gotten to it because I'm finding all these movies on YouTube. So I will get there eventually, I think. Maybe, I don't know. And I used to listen to, I don't know, would you even consider like some of the other shows that have are more video related, but if you would, there's Night Mind and there's a couple other ones where they go over internet phenomena again. And again, the topic can get really offensive really fast, and some people do get really crude. And if you look at their earlier work, it might not be as polished and as professional as later stuff. We all go through that. We come on YouTube, we want attention, we're kind of crass, we're kind of, outspoken, but as time goes on, we hopefully get a little polished and we're a little more tolerable. But I would like, once the channel really takes off, to go back and look at some of my earliest stuff and be like, no, my God, nope, nope, nope. But, some people leave it up too because they're like, well, at least it shows me how far I've come. But yeah, there's a lot of good podcasts out there. Again, it depends on what you consider a podcast. Some people will be purists and they'll say it's on YouTube, it's a video format, it's video series, but literally the podcast ones, it was a podcast originally because there's one static image on there and they're just talking over it. God Awful Movies recently went to a format where they're on camera, but if you listen to a lot of their older podcasts that are on YouTube, it's just their logo and them just tearing a movie to shreds. But like I said, I will warn you. I know some people are really super sensitive, or I wouldn't care. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I just figured we'd catch you guys up. We're still staying inside. I called my friend, the Christian one, because I'm worried about hers. This goes on. Some Christians aren't doing too well with it, obviously, and she did not sound too good. She said she's coming down with a cold, and it sounds not a cold, her allergies, but it sounds like she's got a cold or something. I don't think it's COVID, but she has someone living with her to watch over her, so I'm not too worried. But it's really getting to her now that she can't go to church. Remember, she was a 3-day a weeker at least, sometimes 5 days a week. Sometimes, depending on the season and what was going on, they had a church activity all 7 days a week. Praise Jesus. It's really getting to her. It's really getting to her. They actually went out, and she's getting out of the house, and I didn't say anything because what am I gonna do? Lock her in her house? She stayed in the car, but still. They're doing the social distancing, but still, she's starting to venture out in the car, and I'm like, well, I can't lock her in her house, and she's a grown woman, she understands. So she went and she took books to this person from her church. And I didn't say anything, but she mentioned church. Like, why aren't you going? She didn't say, why aren't you going? But I didn't say a word. I'm like, technically, none of you are going right now. At least you shouldn't be. So she doesn't sound too good. I think it's not only the cold or whatever she has. She's saying it's her allergies on. Like, your mom ear kicks in, like your mom ears when you hear somebody. I'm like, no, that's a cold. I said, you better make yourself some chicken soup. I will. And I'm like, mm-hmm. So, if you are doing some stuff, keep in mind your Christian friends. I think it's just really starting to wear on some of them. Pagans are kind of lucky because, hopefully we're flexible enough in our beliefs that we can adapt them and change them as things come up. So we're okay. We're not thrilled. We're going through this, but we have the advantage of being able to freely look at science, being able to freely study all the other stuff. Like I mentioned, SciShow. That's pretty good. They usually go over like what do we actually know, and there are a bunch of people like in the science community or atheist community that'll mention like other people. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and I know you're probably thinking, well, why don't you listen to pagan stuff? Um, Pagan people can get really dogmatic really fast. And I used to be that way, but the longer I've done the channel and the longer I've worked with Loki, and the more I'm working with Satan and Lucifer and Asmodeus and everything, I'm like, I really don't care. It really doesn't affect me unless somebody comes onto the channel and starts something. In that case, I get angry, but I'm like, I really don't care what you believe. No insult meant. But it's not going to affect me. That's why the atheist podcasts don't really bother me. They might, if they came on this channel, they would probably laugh hysterically. And I'm like, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't need to prove my beliefs. They're called beliefs for a reason. So it's like I think that's the main difference between atheists and, people that have some form of belief. They want proof, and okay, fine, that's reasonable. And believers are like, I really don't have proof, but that's okay with me. I'm fine. So so some days you're fine, some days you're like, "Ugh, can't you send a sign, please?" Just be careful when you ask Loki. Sometimes he's in a playful mood. But we just figured we'd catch you guys up. We're doing pretty good and just staying inside, avoiding the cold weather because it was up in the 70s and now it's getting cold again. The weather can't make up its mind this year. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you later. Bye bye.